that's just been signed by Mr. President, that would also be established.
Yes.
I'm also thinking, where does these agencies fall? NITDA, for example, which is an agency specifically at least for the development of technology in Nigeria. Where does it fall? The entrepreneurship side in the council, my mind quickly went to SMEDAN, which is the Small Business and Development Agency of Nigeria.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, isn't this also, like some people say, duplication of agency? What exactly? I heard you clearly, but I'm just saying, are there clear-cut demarcations that the council will not be doing what NITDA, what SMEDAN, what NDE, and all those agencies will be doing?
If I dare say, I would say this is a fantastic question, right? It actually hits at one of the key aspects of the bill. The bill, under no circumstances, duplicates any other agency, right? What it more so does is that it pulls them together. Right. It doesn't duplicate the efforts of CAC. It doesn't duplicate the efforts of NITDA. In this bill, actually, NITDA serves as the secretariat of the council, right? But every other agency within government continues to do what they've always done, right? And the council and the secretariat will interact with them to create those linkages. Well, I don't know if you understand the picture.
Yes, I'm trying to understand it when you said that the council will have a secretariat at NITDA. So does that mean that
NITDA, I'm sorry, when you say that, NITDA is the secretariat to the council. Yes.
Does that mean that the seed fund, which you mentioned earlier, and I did mention it, I have information that is 10 billion. I don't know if
minimum. That's what the law says.
Minimum. Okay, where will that be gotten from, and when will it start? Because President Buhari, in the budget speech for 2023, which he did mention in the National Assembly just a few days ago, I did not hear that in the budget. So I'm actually wondering where that will come from.
So, I mean, funny enough, this question was asked of me just as I drove here from somebody who's interested in the bill for their business.
Okay.
Right, so everybody's keen to understand this. So I would say we need to look at the process, right? The bill is now an act. I still struggle with the idea of bill and act. It's been the last 2 years.
A lot of people do that.
So the act, right, was just passed yesterday. What we must do next is implement it. Right? So implementation of the act, and also the second part is also state adoption. We're also looking to drive this to all states to adopt the bill and domesticate the bill. Now, the seed funding aspect of the bill will be managed by the NSIA. Right?
Okay.
And they already manage these activities. So once again, this is an example of not creating anything new, but using the existing institutions within government to deliver this value to this particular sector. Right? So the NSI will manage this fund and will create the parameters in which they will deploy the funds to seed to startups. To early stage startups, exactly, right? Because if you think about it, the bill itself does not really address tech-enabled companies that are older than 10 years old. It's 10 years and below.
I was coming to that.
Right, it's 10 years and below. Because the idea of this is really to catalyze the young startups, right? To really help them get their vision going.
Okay. I don't know if I got a sense of where the money will come from. Let's
put it this way. This is actually a point of contention. The way it was crafted in the bill, and which everybody will see soon, is that we left that for the council to decide. Right? The reason being is that there's already several offers of agencies, right? They already do XYZs and multinationals who are very excited about this, and we had a conversation this morning with one. They are looking to help this fund. So it wasn't very important for us to state specifically, because it's ultimately going to be a commercial fund managed by the NSIA, given to this particular sector, and there are a number of organizations that are already ready to put the money in, including government. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that companies are required to obtain a certificate known as the startup label.
Yep.
Before they are being known as a startup entity.
Yep.
What does that mean? And for startups that have been existing even before now, what happens to them?
So, the word that is used there, when you use certificate, it sounds like it's a registration. Well, it's actually labeling. Right? We want to be able to say that you are a startup within Nigeria. And it's not that if you are a startup and you don't go into the labeling process, it means you're not a startup. It just means you don't need a Nigerian startup bill. Right? This is what labels you into the incentives and whatever the bill has to do. Exactly.
To assess the fund.
Exactly. So it's a word usage thing. If you say that if you're not labeled, you're not a startup, it's not true, right? Because if you're a startup and you don't want to access the Nigerian Startup Act, you don't need to be labeled. But ultimately, the belief is that for you to access to get into the portal and a number of things, you need to have a certain number of things. Who are you? What kind of company structure do you have? What percentage Nigerian ownership is here? What kind of how old is the company? What do you do? Are you only doing digital? We have to ask those questions.
Okay. So, I know you have to go, but a lot of questions.
Come back.
Yes, you can actually come back. So that means that if I want to be known, or if I want to have that identity as a startup label, I have to register now with the Council of Innovation
on the portal,
where I will access other government agencies. For example, now where I'm going to precisely is that if I'm known as a startup, or if I'm a startup and I go on the portal, should I have been registered with the CAC? Should I have a RC number? Should I have all this stuff?
Yes.
Is it okay? Right. Okay. So it's not as if I'm just a new business, I'm a startup, and I go on the portal, or
it's not that you
get information from the council and they can do everything, a one-stop shop for me.
Let's put it this way. These things are processes that we worked through the implementation process. But your question is 100% valid, right? As in, where and when do I start? Am I sitting in my house in Benin and saying I want to start a company and just go to this portal and everything is done? No. There are certain things you have to do to actually qualify. You have to already be a company to some extent, right? What kind of company you are? Right? So the timing in which you're able to access it is also important. Yes, so there's certain things you would have done already, but there's certain things that are difficult after you are a company. If you run a business in Nigeria, that this will make make it easy.
Okay. So I think we'll leave it at that because I know we have to catch a flight. But just like you said, so that we can understand more the nitty-gritty of. I appreciate at least we are the first television breaking that and doing this morning since the president signed just a few hours ago. So for our viewers, you can actually also check out our YouTube channel to fully understand again what Authority has spoken about, especially if you are a Nigerian startup. Thank you very much, Authority. Authority Agubadia, who is the lead Nigeria Startup Act, and he's the senior special assistant to President Buhari on digital transformation. Let's quickly take a break, and I'll be looking at another topic, another guest, Dr. Nigeria's brain exports. Can we actually grow our economy with our exports? Everybody wants to jackpot. Everybody's jackpot.
Across the globe. The new AIT Cloud TV is an online streaming service that offers